Welcome to the Culture Stoke podcast, where happier people lead to better results.
All right. Good morning. Happy Blur's Day. Welcome to the Culture Stoke studio once again.
Aloha.
We are here.
Yo.
Aloha, mahalo, bienvenidos. We are here and we are doing a Stoke session. So the goal of the Stoke session. First, introductions. My name is Richard. I'm the host here.
Marty Imes.
Marty Imes. And
I'm Wes.
he's Wes?
I am Wes.
He's Wes. All right.
I am Wes.
He's Wes Love, co-founders of Culture Stoke. The goal of the game, or the session, I suppose, is this bowl here. This bowl of condensation. Doesn't even make sense. I don't even know. Just
Post-it.
the first, yeah, the Post-it bowl with questions that you've asked that we've put in, and I reach in, I grab it, and you guys have to answer as clearly as possible. And I will stop you.
Please.
You listen here.
Please do.
If you start pontificating, I will stop you. But the goal is that you would listen to this in the next 10 to 12-ish minutes and get something great you could take back to work today, right now. So with that, y'all ready? You ready?
Let go.
Yeah?
Yeah,
You good to go?
Feeling froggy. Let's jump.
Feeling froggy. Let's go, baby. All right, here we go. Let me go for the folded one. Don't look.
I'm not looking.
Okay, all right. Here we go. Ooh. Okay, I think I can give this in a question. So, budgets versus people. Budget versus people. I have a question mark.
Very important to understand what your budget is, manage to your budget.
Yeah.
Cash is going to be the fuel for your business.
Of course.
But in order to, it's important to have fuel in your tank, but it's more important about who's going to drive the vehicle, and that's your people. And
Love it.
organizations tend to look at people very much as an expense, and understandably so. They're expensive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time and energy that it takes not only to manage but to lead them, and so it can be very easy for us to kind of fall into the mindset that people are just an expense.
Okay.
But really, people are an investment and in an asset, or an asset. People are an asset. Let me say that more clearly.
There you go.
But they can also be grown. You can invest in your people. So
Right.
not only do you need...
Like an asset.
Absolutely. 100%. And
Yeah.
so, yes, you need to be very mindful of the fuel level within your tank, but it's more important that you have a skilled driver behind the wheel. And so the best thing that organizations and leaders specifically can do is to look at people as something that can be grown.
Nice.
Yeah.
The talent. And when you raise... Every individual that joins the organization can either increase, decrease, or keep the
Right.
talent bar at its existing level. But when you're very intentional about giving people opportunities to grow internally within the organization with career tracks, or even maybe outside with additional certifications or leadership training, stuff of that nature, that talent bar can grow not only over time, but for every individual, which is going to increase the ability of the team to navigate tricky situations,
Nice.
but also to get you where you want to go as smoothly and quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So
Dude.
look at your people as an investment, as an asset,
it.
rather than an expense.
Right. Something that can be grown and multiplied.
Yeah.
Like an asset.
Yeah.
What a novelty.
Sounds even cooler when you say it.
Wow.
But I think this
That's why
is
I'm here.
this. Hopefully, you're here for more than that. I think this is one of those fundamental shifts in thinking for the new workplace, because if you look at traditional thinking, is all of those inputs, my people, my money, my time, my resources, all go into this funnel to get results,
Some sort of result.
right?
Yeah.
I want to pour all this stuff in there, and they're all weighted equally. And I think the opportunity to change that narrative is one of the reasons why Culture Stoke exists in the first place. What if instead of the funnel being just the vehicle to get those results, but what if it was the funnel was directed towards your people?
Yeah.
Where you were like, all my time, money, resource, and assets are going to go into the people who actually go and get those results. What if we thought about it that way, instead of saying,
Dude.
oh, my people are just another input into this machine?
Right.
What if the machine was your people?
Oh.
And so just it sounds silly, but what if it was
Not
the
at
way that organizations thought that, you know, my goal is not to get results. That should be the goal of my people. That's what I hire them to do. So I'm going to take time, effort, energy, and resources to make sure that my people have A, everything that they need to do their job, but B, also have everything they need to have fulfilling and wonderful lives. Both of those things are going to increase the output and get better results.
Yeah.
So when I hear budget versus people, it's back to this adversarial relationship that I think we need to get out of here. It's not budgets versus people. It should be budget for people.
Ooh.
What if you
Come on.
you just thought about my job as the leader of an organization is to make my people better, and then better people,
Better
results.
Weird. I love it. Wow. It's almost like, we that's part of our, our ethos is making work about people.
Yeah. And it can be both. This is not some, Marty and I are wildly pragmatic people. We understand that we don't live in this nirvana-based world where it's, results don't matter. Results totally matter.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They do.
You're not but if results matter, you'll invest in your people.
Yeah. If you want to, and to Marty's point about everybody, like, people are messy and they're hard and they're weird and they're gassy. But all of those things are true, and they do take work.
Right.
But what if you thought about that as your work?
Yeah.
Instead of my job as a leader is to make a profit.
Right. Drive outcomes or
whatever. That's should be what they're doing.
Right.
And so if you just change the thought process a little bit, that my focus is going to be on those people who get those results, I think that's going to be a better recipe.
Yeah. Do you think, if we're using kind of the language assets, common in investing or real estate, it's like, hey, you either have a liability or an asset. Do you think that the reason that people feel more burdensome is because that paradigm
language
is the language they're actually a liability, because what if I put all this effort, time, energy into that person and then they leave and they take that skill elsewhere? How does a leader make that paradigm shift? Because it's all great and sappy to say that's what we're about, but how might a leader approach changing their mind? Because it's true. Relational equity, because really that's kind of what we're talking about here, is you have to sow relational equity into these people, which includes budget, which includes all the nuances of humans, and the gassy parts and all. How does a leader change that in their mind from making a person a liability to an asset? What's the best way they can do that?
Well, you said something earlier about what if we train somebody, invest so much time, energy into them, and then they end up leaving? Well, the antithesis of that is, what if you don't invest in your people and they end up staying?
Yowza.
Yeah.
And
that's a great
then
question.
you're capping your own ability to not only raise the bar for your organization, but you're capping the ability for your business to reach its potential. And that's good, coming back to, believe your question is how do we shift from looking at somebody looking at people as a liability and look at them as an asset?
Yeah.
I think it comes back to that desire. If you choose to give people the experience that they've always gotten, you'll always get what you've always gotten.
Yeah.
And if you give them an opportunity to grow and to pursue something different and become more than they might otherwise not think of themselves or might be performing at this stage of the game, you're then not only uncapping the kind of the floor
potential,
the potential of your organization, but you're now opening up your people for new possibilities.
Yeah.
And
who doesn't want that?
No, I think that's one of the things that I believe there's a recent study, I can't remember, around kind of what are the greatest contributing factors to happiness within the United States. And the greatest factor was having a job or a career that you genuinely enjoyed. That was 71% of respondents to the study said it was their career satisfaction, which had the greatest input. And I think money, having ample money,
well over 2/3,
was I think in the 20 to 30 range. I'll have to find that specific report. But I was just kind of shocked because thinking. Like, if you have unlimited budget and flexibility, then like they think of multiple ways that you can find happiness and fulfillment. But there's actually something within the workplace that can be a venue to not only allow people to accomplish the goals and dreams that they have, but to learn about themselves and to see what they're capable of.
Dude.
In a venue that is something that they're going to need to lean into anyway, in order to exist.
Yeah.
In order to exist. I love it. Yeah.
Well, you asked how do they shift their thinking, and I'm reminded of this time where I was in a discussion with a group of leaders about professional development, and one leader very, very adamantly, and what I would imagine what they felt very profound was, well, I'm not going to spend $1,200 to send somebody to a basket weaving class. Because, the whole idea is like, oh, well, I'm only going to invest in them if I'm going to get something out of it.
Right.
But if we look at it from the relational standpoint, $1,200 for a basket weaving class or whatever is not that much money in the end of it, right?
Relative to the
to that
budget.
But it does go back to this big loyalty thing. Like,
Right.
imagine what that person who maybe it was on a bucket list, maybe it was just something that they wanted to, that they wanted to learn basket weaving because it was a passion of theirs. Imagine the story that they would tell.
Oh, dude, yeah.
If it was like, yeah, my boss paid for me to go to this basket weaving thing. Now when they're going and they're having that discussion about, is this the place for me? Is this the place where I want to be? They're going to say,
yeah.
Well, is this other place going to
Send me to basket
weaving? Probably not.
Yeah,
So I'm going to stay here. So if you want to really shift the thinking and you want to live in that results-based mindset, do the mental math of looking at it and saying, what would it cost me to invest in my people? Because it's usually less than what you're thinking that's going to make them happy, right? That's going to give them some sense of fulfillment and enjoyment versus not. Because not is what we have now, and we have a lot of frustration and consternation in the workplace.
A lot.
So if you want to change the outcome, you have to change the input.
Yeah.
So take some time to invest in your people and just do some experiments.
Yeah.
Give them an opportunity to go out and pursue something that is, tangentially connected to your business. Maybe it doesn't have to be directly, but I think we worry way too much about the content of what the person is wanting to and how they're wanting to be developed. And we think less about the impacts of allowing for that autonomy and allowing that person to, dare I say, spend some work time pursuing a passion.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think would be the result of that? Like, what do you think your people will do for you? You want them to go above and beyond. That means you got to go above and beyond too.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think for a lot of people translates to value outside of the exact, specific results that they provide for a business.
Facts.
I think this also conversation probably starts with an assumption on some level that, and it probably needs to be said that in order to find out if someone wants to basket weave, you kind of got to actually get to know the individual as outside of just the, well, I don't know, you're the analyst.
Unless you can read minds, then probably you do.
Right. But I guess it's just reasonable assumption like, hey, that might be another question for another Stoke session. But, really you do need to put that effort into getting to know your people so that you can find out those things, which is an additional expenditure, which can make it all feel like a liability because it's more burdensome on the whole.
But it's something
seems like it anyway.
Yes. And to what you just said, it does seem it could be like, oh, well, now this is just something else I need to do that just adds to kind of my ever expanding plate of stuff that I need to take care of.
Take some stuff off.
But one of the easiest things that you can do for a leader, if you have the wherewithal to give your team members, not only, I very much encourage performance evaluations on a quarterly basis, doesn't necessarily have to be tied to their annual compensation review, or even maybe every 6 months. Checking with your people, see how they're doing, let them know how they're doing performance-wise. That shouldn't be a surprise when you have that conversation. But in that process, create create a venue for them to be able to express what they want to be able to learn. So one of the things that you can do is give your team member a self-evaluation around their performance and ask the question, over the next 6 to 12 months, what's something you'd like to learn, something you love to develop, things that you like to explore, both within the organization and outside the organization.
Yeah.
Just that simple open-ended question can very much give people the opportunity and the venue to share what they're interested in within the company and also beyond.
Nice.
And you can even maybe tie, oh, hey, if you're able to reach these particular goals, now I have something that I can reward you for.
Yeah, totally.
Delivering and bringing excellence to the organization. You wanted to run a marathon, or you want to go basket weaving, or you want to do something else. You do these, you meet these goals. I want to be able to take care of your marathon registration and buy you a pair of running shoes or get you a coach.
Boom.
There's ways that you can tie those things
Kind of
together.
incentivize almost, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Incentivize, reward, and also at the same time empower your business and empower your team.
Dude, I love it. Well, hey, that's the end of our Stoke session. Budget versus people.
Budget for people.
Budget for people. Yeah. With that, this is Culture Stoke. We are happier people
With better
results.
Oops.
Thanks for tuning in to the Culture Stoke podcast. If you enjoyed the show, like, subscribe, and rate us wherever you listen. Share this episode with anyone who could use a culture boost. Until next time, keep stoking the fire.